Finally, what's the difference between a guaranteed funeral plan and a final expense policy? Let me answer that question by sharing with you another recent example that I experienced. I received a phone call from Connie expressing that she needed to specify a funeral home as the beneficiary to a recent insurance policy she was taking out. She was planning to purchase a final expense policy so her family wouldn't have to pay the money for her funeral service when she dies. Connie is 58 years old and in good health, and upon her death, she wants a traditional funeral service and burial in a local cemetery. She was purchasing a final expense policy worth $12,000 for roughly $57 a month. So what's the problem with that? Well, if Connie died today, the cost of her funeral would be between $8,000 to $10,000. But Connie's 58 years old and in good health. And remember earlier I shared that final expenses double about every 15 to 20 years. Connie could very well not need a service for 30 years or more, and at the time of her service, it would cost over $25,000. However, Connie will only ever have $12,000 from this final expense policy to be applied to what could be a service costing over $25,000. Connie will likely come up way short of meeting her goal of making sure her funeral service is completely paid for when she dies. Meanwhile, Connie will pay $57 a month for the rest of her life or to the age of 100. Even after 25 years, when Connie is only 83, she has paid over $17,000 for $12,000 to go towards a funeral that will likely cost over $20,000. So at that time, she'll be $8,000 short of providing the money for her family to bury her, and have paid $5,000 more than the benefit her family will receive upon her death. A final expense policy doesn't guarantee the cost of the final arrangements. It only provides an amount to your family at the time of your death that can be used towards the cost of your services. Final expense policies might sound like a good deal at first. After considering all the details and realizing it hasn't guaranteed the cost of your final arrangements, I don't believe they are a good purchase at all. But a guaranteed funeral plan actually guarantees that the money you have paid for your final arrangements will cover the cost of your service no matter when it's needed. And if you choose to make payments on a guaranteed funeral plan, you don't pay for it for the rest of your life. If you choose to make payments, you only pay 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. After I went through all these details with Connie, she wisely decided to complete a guaranteed funeral plan and forget all about the final expense policy.